Before we get started, if you're new here and you find yourself always needing more time, running out of time, or not getting the most out of your time, I have a short program called Where to Start that is going to help you as soon as today. Where to Start is where I teach the exact foundation I walk people through before they ever open a planner or create a to-do list. It teaches you what to do first so that you can get the most out of your days, your weeks, your months. You can find Where to Start linked wherever you're listening now. So pause me now to sign up and get started, or make a note to sign up after you're done listening to today's episode. You can click the link here where you're listening or go to wheretostart.me. That's wheretostart.me. Welcome to episode 8 of the Steward Well series, a 10-episode series designed and created to help you steward your time well. But not just you, those in your circles. I created this series using audio so that you can easily share it with the people in your life. So if you haven't been sending out the links, hitting the arrow, and sharing them in your group chat to your favorite coworker, your cousin, this is the episode to do that. Because today I want to talk to you about what may be one of your favorite things. So hear me out until the end, okay? I want to talk about to-do lists and why they are not a helpful tool, but I want to explain why and give you a replacement. Now, I often compare to-do lists to a junk drawer or a junk closet. Think Monica's Closet if you are a fan of the show Friends. It starts out with just a few things, and then you continue to add to it to the point where you'll throw anything in there just to put it somewhere. And over time, because it has gotten so full of stuff, it doesn't become a place where you pull from intentionally. Instead, it's grown into a pile that holds both the important and the unnecessary. Expired items, right? And things that may be time sensitive are now living in the same place. But you don't know that because all you do is just keep throwing things at it, right? And that's how most people treat to-do lists, just like a junk drawer. So there are lists that go on and on and on, and you randomly pull from time to time. So first, as we talked about in episode 5, every day you want an intentionally written selection of specific results and outcomes for the day, right? At no time do you want to live your life and your days from one long exhaustive list that you pick from and then just add and scratch. You pick from it, you add to it, and you just scratch them off because you did something that wasn't on the list. That happens a lot. Have you ever been like, oh, I did this, I never wrote it down, let me write it down and scratch it off? Yeah, that's to-do list living. That is not how you intentionally steward your time well. So the first thing about to-do lists that make them unhelpful is that they lack intention and they lack boundaries. You'll end up making them all over the place, right? You'll have a list on some apps, a list on the back of some mail, a list on a napkin, a list on your hand, a list on a sticky note. And we talked about this in episode 5 when I shared the everything lives in one place rule, right? For me, that is the everything spreadsheet, and that's linked in episode 5. I'll also link it here. But you may start a to-do list out with the intention to list what you want to do in a given time frame. But what happens over time is the to-do list becomes what sets the priority, what makes the decisions, and a list of things that are not most important fill your time. So you can show for what you've done, but it doesn't feel like the things that matter most were done. Have you ever had that experience? Oh, I did so much today, but actually, what did I do? That is a sign that you did some things today, but they may not have been the most important thing, the highest use of your time, or the things that were just most important. And sometimes this is done intentionally because you're avoiding the work that needs to be done. So sometimes we use that intentionally. And that's why learning to create narrowed, focused results and outcomes for your day or whatever time frame you're working with will help you more. So if you're like, well, Shantae, instead of making a long to-do list each day when I sit down, what do? You do exactly what we talked about in episode 5, and I teach you in more detail and where to start. Before the day begins, you have a narrow list of the results and outcomes that you need for the day. Nothing more, nothing less. What must be done? They are specific. Remember, they're not generic and general. We talked about that. And for all those ideas, and for all those other ideas and things that need to be done, they live on your calendar. Like, okay, my dates are on the calendar. For projects that you want to do, those live in your everything spreadsheet. And this helps because your brain isn't looking at more than it needs to in any given day. You know exactly what matters today, and you're allowed to focus only on those things, one today at a time. When you give your brain a long laundry list of things to do, it all is always thinking about those things, even when you're trying to do something else. So stewards of time, people who steward their time well, right, know the importance of boundaries on their time and what gets their attention and focus. You only want to be focused on the thing you're currently doing. And to-do lists will slowly take over your life, and you'll live by this junk drawer, right, that you've tossed, all the stuff that you've tossed in there, as opposed to the things you've specifically and intentionally curated when you plan from a top to bottom perspective, which we talked about top to bottom planning in episode 7, and how it's so important when because to-do lists planning, that's that bottom plan, and I really wouldn't even call it bottom planning, that's bottom living. And I'm trying to tell you the importance, as we talked about again in episode 7, starting from the top to the bottom, right? So today, as I sit at my desk, I have results and outcomes listed for today in my Best Today guide. Not what I need to do tomorrow, not what I need to do next week, just for today. And then those few results and outcomes are specific, right? That helps me move through my day, making small deposits that move me toward progress. Writing this episode, recording this episode, setting up the email for this episode, as opposed to something generic like work on podcast series or work on episode 8, right? That's very to-do listy. Oh, work on this, work on that. No, what are the specific components of that need to be in today? Because as I say this often with my corporate clients, when we're talking about helping them with their work, there might be a project you're working on that's going to take weeks or days. You're not going to get it all done in a day. So work on brief, start project, that doesn't tell your brain anything. That's very to-do listy. But telling yourself the very first thing you need to do, schedule the call with Monica to discuss blah for 4:00 on Thursday, blah, 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 or whatever. Telling your brain exactly what the specific result and outcome you need for the day, because usually most to-dos really need to be broken down into multiple small steps, right? Results and outcomes. So you want specific results and outcomes. So that looks like write episode 8. Probably 40 minutes, record episode 8, 20 minutes, edit episode 8, 5 minutes, upload to Spotify, draft and schedule episode 8 email, record Instagram and TikTok posts for episode 8. Very specific, as opposed to work on episode 8. What does that mean? If a stranger couldn't come and tell me what exactly that looks like, but if you saw those results and outcomes, you would know exactly what I needed to do, what success would look like, what completion would look like for recording or for the work that I'm going to do today, right? So this is an invitation to rethink and tear up that to-do list, or the mini to-do list you've been living off of, and think about creating results and outcomes instead. Long laundry lists do not provide you with the intention and the direction that helps you to be the best steward of your time. So if you haven't in a while, go back and listen to episode 5 and how to work from week to day, and let everything else live in one place. These 2 episodes go to really well together. And 7 is the glue remaining, right? That if you're in the bottom planning and you have not done that top planning work and where to start, stop where you are and start there. So many people are afraid to start at start. They say, oh, I'm going to start when the semester ends, when I change jobs, when I start the new job, after the move, after this, once school ends this summer. I'm going to tell you, that's like telling the doctor, I'll come and see you once I'm feeling better. That does not make sense. Stop now and start at where to start, so that every step you take going forward can be in the context of everything that I teach you and where to start, which is how to build inside of the proper context. You're probably most likely not moving in the right context. You're just out here living life, living life without any context, confines, boundaries that really help and that are realistic to your life right now, right? So where to start is linked wherever you're listening right now. And then that brings me to our question for this episode. Every episode has a question for you to journal through, talk through with your group chat. And that is, where is the one place where everything lives for you that isn't what needs to be done today? And the answer can no longer be, oh, I keep a long running to-do list, okay, on a sheet of paper. Instead, how are we being intentional about keeping track of all those things and not trying to scratch from it every day, right? I will talk to you again in episode 9. So make sure to share this episode with your group chat, your coworker, your cousin, your friends, and continue talking to one another about how you can help and encourage one another to be better stewards of your time. This Steward Well series is brought to you by Where to Start, my online program that walks you step by step on where to start if you want to steward your time well. The best news, we don't begin with lists and productivity. Actually, none of that is included. Instead, I'm going to show you how to steward your time in a way that honors your values and your specific season. And yes, I teach you how to define both of those things inside of Where to Start. Where to Start is linked right now wherever you're listening, or you can go to wheretostart.me. That's wheretostart.me today.